All right, y'all. Well, we'll go ahead and get started here, and this will be on YouTube as well, of course, later on. So if at any point you want me to pause and maybe go over something, feel free. But no, it will be on YouTube as well, so you can pause and re-look at this when I upload it later today, okay? So I'm just gonna go ahead and dive on in here. Misty, if you wouldn't mind unmuting, just letting me know real quick, kind of your expertise level with the MLS. Have we ever used it? Have we, just wanting a refresher, kind of where are you at, just so I know, Misty, or you can put it in the chat either way, I just wanna know. While she's unmuting or typing, I'll go ahead and get working on sharing my screen here for y'all. All right. So I'm going to share my desktop. I'm going to minimize this. All right. Are we seeing my screen here, Kyle? Perfect. Perfect. Just wanted to make sure. And I just want to make sure. Oh, Misty is Kevin at the front desk. Hi, Kevin. Good to have you. Misty is not Misty. Good to know. Okay, so since we're doing new listing inputs today, obviously we're going to be on the MLS is where we're going to be doing everything. So for y'all on YouTube, if you have not done it, now me personally, I'm a part of Metro Techs over in Grapevine because I'm in the Coppell office as an agent, DFW preferred. For y'all, you're more than likely going to be part of CCAR unless maybe you are part of Metro Techs, but regardless, just get to your MLS however you need to get to it. So if you're in Collin County, go to the CCAR website, however that looks, for those of y'all watching at home. So there's going to be a few things, and agents have a few different opinions on how to do this. There is a MLS form that you can find on your MLS. That's a complete printed out breakdown of the entire MLS input that we're about to do with little check boxes and things like that you could give to a seller to fill out. I personally don't like doing that because they're doing the MLS input for me. That sounds efficient and nice, but that's not your seller's job. That's what they're hiring us for. So I don't like using that form because as you'll see when we go through this, it's literally like 9 pages. There's so many different things on it that the seller's disclosure comes into hand. Looking at the photos, for me as an admin, all those years on our team, I was never at these properties. These were not my listings most of the time because I was in college. So I would have to rely on the photos to know that the construction was brick and stone or whatever it is, and the roof is composition or different, you know? So just make sure that, you know, there are a couple different options, but I just like to use the listing agreement, the seller's disclosure, and a form that we also use on our team called a new listing setup. That's a Google form that sends an auto response when it's filled out to certain members of the team, and as well as a measurement sheet for the rooms. And so you'll see that. Feel free to pause on YouTube if you want to look at those as we go. So anyway, we're going to be here on the MLS, and whether you're CCAR or Metro Techs, it's going to look the exact same. We're going to go to the top of the screen here and click Input. And we're going to go over here to Add New. We're doing a residential. Now, if you had a residential lease, a home you were putting up for lease representing a landlord, you would be doing a residential lease, lots and acreage, multifamily, so on, so on. Today is just residential though. And as long as it's not a new construction home, as long as it's been built, at least in the past, you know, up and well for a year or so, go ahead and hit this Fill from Realist Tax button. That's up here just to the right of Fill from Existing Listing near the top of the screen. And when you do that, it's going to allow you to search through tax records to find the property that we're looking for. Now for this one, I know that it's in Denton County. And the reason I know this is, let me grab someone in here real quick. Got someone joining on. Whoever just joined, hello, good to have you on. Appreciate you joining us. All right, so I know that this is in Denton County because here on the listing agreement, if I scroll down on the property right here, it is in Denton County. So for those of you new agents that are watching this at some point and you're just trying to figure out where I'm finding out this information, you may know it off the top of your head, you may not. So anyway, that's how we know what the county is. And then the street number for this one is 1209 Norfolk. I found on the street type, if you type out full street, like STREET, it doesn't search, but if you type in ST, it does. I typically just leave the street type blank because it can get a little frustrating if you keep typing. It's just one thing that could be used, but isn't necessarily needed. We'll hit that search button and then bam, this is our only option in here. If there were a couple like 1, 2, 3 main streets, you know, very simple and easy, in the same city. Possibly, I doubt that that would be the case, but you may see a few different options in here. And then we're going to click fill once we're ready to do this. And the reason for that is this is going to pull certain data and information that we're not going to have to go find ourselves and type in manually from the tax records for this listing. When we click that fill button, see right off the bat, we've got the parcel ID right there, the year built, the square footage. We've also got all this info right here that is very, very annoying to find, honestly, that it just pulls in for you right off the bat. The property type for this one, this is a residential home, and I'll show you, I'll pull up the pictures real quick. So this is the listing in question that we're talking about here in Roanoke, over there right by Fort Worth, Texas Motor Speedway. It's about 5 minutes from there, just to give you all an idea. So this is the home itself. We can see we've got brick and stone construction, we've got some beautiful landscaping, all that kind of stuff. So the property type, this is just going to be a single family home. And the listing type is always going to be exclusive right to sell or lease. Now, this housing type for this one specifically, and most of them that I've done personally, is single detached. That's usually what the home is going to be. If you know the style of the house, if it's something very specific, if it's mid-century modern or Spanish or Tudor or Victorian, we had a Victorian home listed for just, it was in the luxury range. I can't remember the exact price several years back, but that was something that we had put in as Victorian. It was built in the 1890s out near Dublin. And so that would come into play if you had that. Construction status, this is pre-owned. Builders will put in new construction, complete or incomplete, depending on where a property is at. So those can happen. For the construction, we know from the photos that we looked at, we've got brick and stone for our construction. So select brick and then rock/stone, not subdivide. Now our list price, list date, expire date, all of this fun stuff right here. This is where we're going to dive into the listing agreement a little more and dive down, okay? So this is page 1 of it. We're going to scroll down. We can see no exclusions. That'll come in on the last end of the MLS input. And also, one thing you always want to make sure you look at for these things is making sure you have in here whether it is or is not part of an HOA. You always want to make sure that is checked. That's something that is very easy to miss if you're just scrolling fast trying to write something up, before your appointment or before you go to another one. So for the list price, it's always going to be at the top of page 2, as long as you're using the most updated TXR form. And you can see we've got the list price is $525 over here. The term, the listing begins on this date and ends on this date. Now, one thing to be very, very clear about, if you write up this listing agreement and the day you're going to make it active changes, okay? So meaning, say initially when you wrote this up, it was going to be the 18th, and then some life happened, they needed to update a thing or two more, and it's actually going to be the 20th now. You do not want to put in the listing date as 5/18. You put the listing active date as the date you put submit and put it on the MLS, because the days on market, which is very important to you and to your seller, is going to get completely wonky, and it's very difficult, if not impossible, I can't remember, to get that changed. It's just a massive headache. So always make sure that you're putting in the listing date as whatever date you're hitting active and submit to make it an active listing. So just make sure you're doing that, okay? So for this one, we'll put it in as $525 for the list price. And we'll put the list date as 5/18, because that's when it was. And the expire date again was 11/17. We'll go a few months ahead here. Let's type it in actually. All right, so there's that. The square footage source. Now here's one thing I want to show you all this new listing setup form that I had talked about a moment ago that's specific to our team that we created. Once I get my little bar up here moved. Okay, so here on this new listing setup, so this is a Google form that we have created for our team probably 3-4 years ago at this point. It's very easy to put together. Forms.google.com is how you create Google Forms. And so all these metrics, the bold things, and this title, basically everything in bold on here is something we typed in, and then all the answers here are, the answer fields. So the lead source, the name, that's more for the admin side of things. But what I wanted to show y'all real quick is we've got some deals about are there any exclusions, you know, just so everyone's on the same page and we're making sure we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's. Seller information, preferred title company right here. Are we going to have seller coverage on this? Yes or no? The date to be active and square footage. This is what I wanted to show y'all real quick. On our team, we make sure that the listing agent verifies the square footage first because we're a team. Now, if you're individual, it's just you running the thing, you're good. But the reason we do that is because we had a luxury property, and I won't say the city, I won't reveal a bunch of details, but it was a luxury property and we put it on the market. We got an offer a few months in and it was lower than we wanted. But anyway, we went under contract, everything was working out. 3 days before closing, we found out that the additions the previous owner had done to the home, the way the tax records showed the square footage, this home was 600 square feet less than what tax said and what the MLS said. We lost $150,000 in sales price because of that and some other factors, but mainly that appraisal issue. They appraised it, what we went under contract at and what we ended up agreeing. It was an insane number, but I know from our initial list price to close price, it was $150,000 difference. And that wasn't all contributed to the tax thing. There were other factors. But what I'm getting at is make sure you're double checking your square footage, especially on an interesting home that's not cookie cutter. It's not very uniform. You know, if it's in a massive subdivision, a master plan community, you don't necessarily have to worry about it. But if it's a custom funky home that's maybe a farmhouse, people have added on, you're just not sure as an agent, as a listing agent, I highly recommend you at least discuss with your sellers the opportunity of maybe doing an appraisal up front so that y'all have at least some data to show if an appraiser farther in the process comes back and says, no, this is what I'm valuing it at. You can at least try to refute that and go through that process. So anyway, I just wanted to make a big point about square footage for y'all and not losing massive amounts of value. So the square footage source, to wrap all that up with a bow, is we're going to be putting tax on this, okay? Because this is from the tax records at 4,700 is good. Now, if the tax records are higher than what an appraiser says, I personally go off the higher number because you have documentation both ways. It's just up to you, like I said, based on that little story there of losing all that money. So if you had an appraiser first, you would do an appraiser. If you had other documentation, owner, you can measure your own square footage, but if I ever see owner as the source for the tax, I'm getting an appraiser out there probably. That's like me measuring my house and doubling it and saying, oh, I said it. So, it's just not the same thing. And then building plan would be if it was a builder. This is not a multi-parcel ID, it's a single. And all of these things right here in location information, these all pull in automatically when you do filling from realist tax, which is nice. And then school information down here. Now I'm going to tell you all what I do personally because I've had issues in the past with the MLS and moving on. Up here at the top of the screen, you see general, rooms, features, etc. over to status. These little blue tabs right here, all these different pages from that printout I mentioned earlier, if you gave that to your seller, they're very lengthy. And it's very frustrating if you work, and then the page didn't save, your computer crashed, your Wi-Fi went out, you literally lose everything. So what I personally do after I complete this first page, so just making sure I've got everything in here I need. Yep, yellow is required, white is optional for boxes in here. I always wait on school district information. Now I personally know the schools for over here. So I'm just gonna put those in because I know them. But I'll show y'all here in a moment how to do that yourself, how to find schools and probably what the schools are and how I do it. You can also look on district websites, but I just use the MLS personally. So what I always do on the first page when I'm done with this general page is I go right over to the last tab and go to status. And you'll notice it's automatically set as active. Well, we're not done inputting this yet. So this is not an active listing. If you hit active, well, and you hit submit right here, it wouldn't let you because you've got all these missing fields. But even if everything was filled in and you did it all right the first time, I always save it as incoming first after doing the first tab because that saves it in my MLS, and I'll show y'all what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna change that to incoming. I'm gonna hit submit listing. Okay, now what you'll notice is when I go back to my home screen, I do not have any properties showing right here, okay? You would see my active listings right here. That doesn't show up right now. Every time I've done incoming for the past 5 years that I've done this, I'll save it as incoming. It won't show up right here. I'll then go back to the same bookmark. I'm basically just going back into the same page and I'm logging out. I'll just log out for this. Click here to log back in. When I do this, we will see that little update and it'll say my incoming listings. I'll save that for later. We'll just go right in. So see, I'm on Metro Text right here, y'all, up on the top left. If you're in CCAR, it'll probably look something similar to this. I don't know. I haven't been inside that system, but just click on Matrix is what you're always looking for when you're doing MLS inputs. And then we'll see right here, you see, now I've got a red my incoming listings. I wouldn't have been able to find that to keep editing this had I not done that refresh on the page. And by the way, I'm using Google Chrome, highly recommend it. And I'm also on a Mac. There were some Mac issues I was having years and years ago. I have not had any issues since, but that's kind of what started this whole refresh, save the page type of deal for me. Once we're ready to edit a listing, I clicked on that red, my incoming listings, and then we click this checkbox right here, and then we click edit. And once we click edit, we're going to go into residential. And now we're back on the general tab, okay? Now I did forget to mention, let me back up real quick. I'm going to go back to my home page real quick to show you how to find schools. You see we're on home right here at the top left. We're going to go over to the search bar, and I go down to residential and I hover over that, and then I go detailed. Now, one thing you are going to want to have checked beforehand on that general page is the exact way on tax records that the subdivision is worded, and then just copy that. I say that because we come in here, the way we search for schools, or the way that I do it at least, is I always search, you want to do asterisk, subdivision name, asterisk. That'll include anything similar to that property with that type of name. If it's Briarwick Phase 1, Phase 3, it'll pull all of them if you've got those asterisks in there. So make sure you're adding those in. And then I also go off of actives, and then I also go off of the solds back about 90 days. But I prefer sold data because that is what actually has closed. Okay, so we've got 12 properties in this subdivision that have closed. And if you've got a very common named property, or a subdivision rather, you could come in here also and type in the city. So see, we lost 3 matches there. So 3 of those were not in Roanoke. They were not correct. So we're good with those 9 matches. We click results. And then what I'm looking for, you can see here's the subdivision name. See it brought in Phase 1, Phase 5, Phase 4, Phase 3, 6, 2, so on, so on. Well, when I click on this, what I'm looking for is the schools right here on these sold homes. Add someone in on Zoom real quick. All right. So what I'm looking for on these properties, I want to look for consistency. I want to see, okay, elementary, middle. So it's Roanoke Elementary, Medlin Middle, Byron Nelson High. Okay. Roanoke, Medlin, Byron. Once I get about 3 to 5 that are consistently Roanoke, Medlin, Byron, okay, we're good to go. I can assume that those are probably the schools. And I'm also going to show you a little phrase that we have as well on ours that protect us for our team at the end, that keeps you protected in case you are incorrect on those schools. I'll show you what that is at the end. So we'll go back in here. We're going to edit and back to residential. Now we can go on to rooms. And this is where beds, baths, living areas, dining rooms, specific measurements come up, okay? And I'm going to show y'all real quick what our team's measurement sheet looks like. Let me pull this tab over. My Zoom tab is getting angry with me today. So here's our room measurements form. Let me zoom that out a little bit so y'all can see it. Y'all can, here, I'm gonna zoom this out. If you're on YouTube and you wanna take a screenshot of this, feel free to do so. I'll just pause the screen there for a moment and talk. This is something we created on our team because we needed this, especially because I was in college at the time doing a lot of these inputs for the team, sometimes several a week. I got the houses confused. There was a lot of things, especially with me not being around and seeing these homes myself and being the one measuring them. I didn't know a lot about these houses. So we needed a very detailed form so that I didn't have to reach out to the listing agent over and over to ask them about the home. So you can see right off the bat at the top of the screen, we've got the agent, the date, the sellers, that's all agent filled out, this whole form is. The property address, now you can see right here, floor plan, we've got 2 stories, 5 beds, 3.5 baths, that's what that 0.1 is right there. 0.1 is a half bath for you new agents, if you don't know that on the MLS. We've got 3 living areas, a gas fireplace, and yes, there are gas logs in the fireplace. I won't go over all this, and I'll just do maybe 1 or 2 rooms on input. So we'll just do the master, we'll do that top info and then a room or 2. I'm not gonna, for the sake of time, do all of this, but you can do so on your end. So it's a 2-story, 5-bed, 3.5 bath. So we got 5 beds, 3 full baths, 1 half bath, the 3.1, 2 stories. For our living areas, we've got 3 living areas. And for the dining areas, we actually just count them up here ourselves. For this one, so there's a breakfast nook right here. That's a dining area. And there's also a formal dining. He filled out both of these. So we've got 2 dining areas in this home. All right. And like I said, we're only going to do, I'll just do this 1 room so that y'all can see. So you have a room list here and you choose whichever room you're going to be inputting for the specific measurements. This is going to be the master, which is on the 1st floor. I know that as an admin because on our team, he circled number 1. I know that the flooring is carpet. It's got a walk-in closet, a ceiling fan, a sitting area, and a door to the patio as well. So on that, I think it was 25 by 13, I believe was the 14, was that number. And then also you'll notice, depending on which room you selected over here, the features are going to be different based on the room. The MLS knows which room is what. So I know right off the bat, because I've been in this home before, there are dual sinks, there's a garden tub, and it's also a jetted garden tub. That's those deep sunken in ones. It's also got a linen closet and a medicine cabinet. It's got a separate shower, separate vanities, a walk-in closet. So all of that right off the bat, very, very simple and easy to fill out, okay? You can go on from there. I'm gonna stop right there. And I always also recommend submitting after this page. If you go through general and then rooms and then do your first save as incoming, maybe do that. But always after the rooms, I save it because that's where I had a ton of issues years ago, not recently, but years ago, was I would fill out all the rooms page, move on, and then the whole thing would crash or whatever would happen. And I did the same rooms, 10 rooms with the same listing, all these features multiple times. It's very frustrating. So just make sure y'all are taking the time to save as you go. Move on to features. Now features about the house right here, right off the bat, common sense. Every home is going to have high-speed internet for the most part, asterisk on that. I'm sure there's some that don't. And you can also assume that they probably have cable TV available. I think we can safely assume that. Now, beyond that, bay windows, wine coolers, lofts, skylights, wet bars, that's going to depend. I know this house has a wet bar in one of the upstairs living areas. I know it's got sound system wiring in the media room. I know there are plantation shutters. There's just the one staircase. There's flat screen wiring on this one as well. There is a pool on this property. It is just a regular in-ground gunite pool. There are no carports on this property. There are 3 garage spaces because it's a 3-car garage. And I always put, unless I've physically measured it myself with my own measuring tape or laser thing on the garage length, if you did not measure it and take the time, do not guess it. Do not put 20 by 20 for a 2-car garage every time because it may not be right. And the MLS is law to a buyer's agent and they will come at you if things are incorrect on there, okay? So if you don't know, if you didn't measure it, put 0 by 0. It allows you to do that. The MLS does not care. And there's 3 total covered parking here. Now, there is a 2-car single door garage. That's a new little addition right there. So something a little more specific. It's a 2-car garage with a single door. It's also attached. It's covered. It's in the front. It's a garage. There's garage door openers. Let's see, is there anything else? Yep, so all these different options here on that. This is not a smart home. On the alarm and security, we know about that because here on our new listing setup form that I was telling y'all about, we have that here at the very bottom of it. Is there a security system on the property? Okay, so there is one on this one. there's no handicap access, meaning the specific, things in the bathroom, things on the stairs. I mean, you would know very, very clearly if this was handicap accessible. That's not going to be something you're confused about. The number of fireplaces, there's one fireplace, and we know from the top of that measurement sheet that it is a gas log and gas starter. Common features, this is right next to a green belt. And let me show y'all, let me click through the pictures real quick because I didn't do that for y'all, just to kind of show you a little bit about this house. So stone and brick construction, we first notice obviously the composition roof, some beautiful landscaping, the 3-car garages, 2 on the left, 1 on the right. Here's our downstairs foyer area. That's the direction from the front door into the living area, kitchen, and so on. This is that formal dining room. That's the upstairs, of course. This is the downstairs living area. We've got that beautiful stone. These are the original sellers, owners of this home, built back in '08. So they've had it for 12 years. So anyway, I just wanted to give you all an idea of seeing the interior of it. Here's the kitchen. So just some beautiful, great work by, I think it was Meritage that built this home. So anyway, I just wanted to scroll through these real quick for y'all on YouTube so that you can pause and kind of get an idea as you're maybe doing this on your own later on 2 tabs. If you're watching this online later after the live viewing, you can pause through these and see what features you see. I would say that these are vaulted ceilings right here. They're vaulted up a little bit. That's a feature you can add in, okay? The more beefy your MLS input is, it's a really great thing when you send it to the client just to show, hey, I looked at every single detail I could find about your home. And then also, I always send it to the client before we go or when we go active so that they can let me know the day of if anything should be changed. I don't necessarily want to wait to go active for the client, because what if I email them the day we're supposed to go active and they're having a crazy day at work and they don't have the time to email me back? Well, we agreed on a listing agreement that I was going to list it on today, the 11th, or whatever we agreed on. So I'd rather ask for forgiveness than the permission on that, and it's easy to fix right away. It's not a big deal. You can edit anything on the MLS at any time. So anyway, I just wanted to give you all an idea. Here's that garden tub, that jetted garden tub right here that I talked about. You can see the jets in there. That's how we know about that. Separate shower, walk-in closet over here in the back. Just a little bonus room right here. Got the staircase, library. Yeah, don't see that a ton, but cool little library. Little half bath right there. There's the media room down here, catwalks, office area, living area. Got one of the bedrooms here. We love those pictures. This is one thing I hate about those bathroom shots with the mirror is there's always the tripod. I try to avoid those personally, but it's just up to whoever. Another bedroom here, a full bath in here. There's a shower in here. Got a media room right here. So that's how I know for the surround sound wiring. You can see it right up here, 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 here as well. So you know that it does have that hookup for you. There's an office area upstairs, another office, and that upstairs living area, okay? Backyard little overlook with the pool and the little pergola down there. So I just wanted to give you all an idea if you're doing this on your own, maybe on this specific house or a different one. And you can even print out, you can make up a measurement sheet, make up a fake house, or I guess choose a real property address to associate for the realist tax purposes, but you can make up your measurements. You can make up whatever details about the home you wanted as you're practicing. Just make sure you don't submit active. That will actually put it on the MLS. You can always delete an incoming. There's that wet bar I mentioned, laundry room, backyard area. So I just wanted to give you all a little idea for those of you on YouTube to see kind of what this home looks like detail-wise, okay? So we got some great features in there. So you notice just right off the bat, the green belt right here in the back. That is one of the common features I put on here. The roof is composition. Our flooring, we're going to check back on that measurement sheet real quick. Pull this down again. And so we'll look through the floorings real quick. We've got tile, we've got carpet, we've got real wood. Okay, great. So carpet, tile, wood, those are our 3. So as I go through, carpet, ceramic tile, all the way at the bottom, wood. The foundation on this I know is slab. If you had pier and beam as well, you would select that. And if it had a basement as well. Back when I lived in Decatur for 8 years, we did have a full-on storm cellar shelter and all that. So they do still exist, even though less in the new homes. The kitchen equipment, from the pictures you would detect, I'm not going to go through that for the sake of time, but I know that there's a built-in microwave from the photos. There's a dishwasher, a disposal, a double oven. There is a electric cooktop, I believe. And there's a water line to the refrigerator. See, there's a lot of options here. This can be a painstaking process when you're brand new or maybe don't do a ton of listings. Plan out plenty of time for this. Give yourself like 2 hours the first time you're doing this, because it will be frustrating if you're trying to squeeze it into a time frame. You're going to get things wrong. You need to take a break from it because this is foreign to you anyway. Special notes, I never really have put anything in here for our listings, at least that I've done admin work on. Not saying it's not applicable at all. I just haven't worked with it personally, except for historical. That house in Dublin was a historical home, the Victorian one in the 1890s. So that did come up there, but rarely used. So we've got kitchen equipment. We're good there. I'm going to move on to lot utility. On the acreage right here. So we're going to ignore that last digit for those of y'all, if you remember math, if it's been a while back in the day from elementary and grade school. This is 21% of an acre. So that third digit we would round up or down if it's above or under 5. We're rounding down. So we know that this is just a fifth of an acre, basically, just barely over a fifth of an acre. So when I click this for the lot size acreage, this is less than half an acre. It's not 0, but it's no bigger than a half acre. For the lot description, we know this is adjacent to a greenbelt. We know, put greenbelt as well, I guess. I would say personally that this is a heavily treed property. Well, I would disagree. I'm going to say some trees on this one, because now that I think back to some other more forested listings, like in the Keller area that we've worked, you see there's a good amount of trees here on this property, back here in the back, and then back, see we've got about 3 or 4 here, one here, one here. A lot of shrubbery. There's a lot of greenery is why I said that off the bat. So we've got one here, one here. So I'm going to go with some trees. If you have a listing out in a wooded area, where it's very, very clear, don't put heavily treed if there's like 4 trees. That's not heavily treed, y'all. Okay. This is a subdivision, so we're going to put that. No backyard grass. It used to, but when they put the pool in, they got rid of all the backyard grass for all that landscaping y'all saw and all that different stuff. It is landscaped as well. The exterior features on this, I know that there is a covered deck. For me personally, a deck is in the back and a porch is in the front. That's kind of how I go about that personally. There is a gazebo pergola. There are gutters on this house. Let's see. There's not an outdoor living center. I'd probably say that'd be like a massive, island and TVs and all that kind of stuff. We don't really have all that going on for this listing. Patio would be what I said, not deck. It's not a deck. That'd be a wood deck. Patio and porch is what I was saying. Patio for the back, porch for the front. Also, if you got a satellite dish, it's got a sprinkler system. Restrictions, that is going to be very, different based on the property. Obviously, a lot of these things come into place for leases, like no pets, no smoking, things like that. When you're selling a house, you can't really tell the owner, don't smoke in this house after I sell it to you. Can't really do that. Easements, I don't really deal with this a ton. For our fence, though, we have wrought iron and wood, okay? And I'll show you what I mean by that. So you'll see, if I can find a photo of it. Well, over here let me see, I can pull up the backyard, just give you all an idea. So here's that wrought iron fence that we have right here that is adjacent to the green belts. This is on the right side of the property when you're looking at it, okay? So we've got this one. And then also, if we look here, you can see we've also got a wood fence here on the back. So we're going to select 2 options because this one does have 2 options, or 2 different ones on here. So if I can find where I was, type of fence, we've got wood, and then we've also got iron as well. Soil, I always put unknown. I am not going to go digging under this house or in front of it to figure out and test this soil. I'm a realtor. I am not a scientist, y'all. Put unknown. You don't know. Even if you see 1 limestone, please, for the love of everything, don't do that. Just leave it alone. Waterfront, this is not a waterfront property. None of that matters. Street utilities, this is how redundant you want to be. It's up to you. Asphalt, yes, there's asphalt on this. Is there concrete? Oh yeah. Are there curbs? Yep, for sure. Is there sidewalks? Definitely. So you can kind of choose how redundant, kind of like on the garage thing, you want to be for the parking features. For heating and cooling, we're going to find this on the seller's disclosure notice. Okay, this is going to be the first time we've needed that today. Let me pull this down, pull this up. Okay, so when we're looking at this seller's disclosure, we're going to be looking right here on the first page near the bottom for that heating and cooling, for those of y'all that maybe have not done this before. I'll zoom in a little bit for you. So you can see for central AC right here, that's a yes, and it's electric, and there's 2 units. And for central heat, it's also a yes, and it's gas, okay? So you always wanna make sure you double check, is it electric or is it gas? There's like no such thing as a gas AC, y'all, by the way. That's pretty sure that's not a thing. Kyle, you can correct me if I'm incorrect. I've never heard of a gas air conditioning unit. So you're gonna have electric for that, but the heating could be electric or gas, just depends. So we've got electric AC, gas heat. So we're gonna go air electric, central heat, gas. This is not in a mud district. You'd want to double check that for your listing. Make sure it's in a municipal utility district or not a mud district. Green features, specifically about this home, I usually can't put anything in here and here unless it's ceiling fans. It's really all I ever check on this. Now, if you know these things for sure, like you're looking at paperwork on the green features of a home and they've got records, put it all in there. I haven't come across a new enough listing that all this pertained to specifically just yet for me personally in the 4 years I've been doing this as an agent. So anyway, we'll keep going on. We'll go on to financial info. For the proposed financing, starting on the top left, that's going to be on the listing agreement, several pages down, okay? So we're going to go on that listing agreement. We're going to scroll, 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 and I'll find the page and let y'all know what it is when I see it. Right here. So the bottom, what page am I on? Page 6. So at the bottom of page 6 on your listing agreement, if you're using the TXR one, right here, see, not these because they're not checked, but these 3 right here, the 4 that are checked: conventional, VA, FHA, and cash. Those are typically the top 4 that we've had for every listing that we've done. And you know, if you have other financing you want to accept, that's fine. That's usually just the top, main 4 there. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to select cash, FHA, conventional, and I'm going to go down to VA as well. Possession is always upon closing and funding, okay? That's what we always put. Loan type, we're going to treat that as clear. These people did not have a second mortgage, so we know that. You're going to have to put that in there. The HOA, there is one on here, and it is mandatory, okay? I know that because I was at the bottom of page 1, that there was an HOA. Now, for the rest of this info right here, billing frequency, dues, the management company, we know that there's one because of the listing agreement. We're going to go find the info for that HOA in the seller's disclosure. So when we go back into the seller's disclosure notice that we were just on to look at that heating and cooling, we're going to scroll down. You can also see here, we use Seller Shield. Your office now does provide that as well for you. Highly recommend it for you new agents. It's free to use. They have add-ons for legal coverage if you want to use it. And pay for that, maybe as a closing gift to your clients. Hey, I'm protecting you for 2 years, my gift to you, love you. But I recommend y'all use Seller Shield because it takes all the burden off of you and it lets attorneys answer questions for them, which you are not, more than likely, unless you are. But anyway, we're going to scroll down here to page, right here, the bottom of page 4 of the seller's disclosure. This is the Seller Shield one, so it's filled out. The spacing on this with these boxes here, this text box is maybe a little different. So it may be page 4 for you, may not, but we're looking right here for the section 8 about the HOA, okay? So we can see right here, we've got the Briarwick Homeowners Association. I'm just gonna copy that entire thing to paste it here into our management company name. So bam, pasted that in. Now let's go see. Here's our manager's name right here, Jennifer. Oh, we didn't need the name, sorry. We just need the phone number of them, that's correct. Let's see, so phone, I guess they didn't have a phone number to provide or that they knew of. So there is the email address we're gonna add in. Let's see if it'll let us. Okay, so we can put that in there right there. And then for the dues, you can see it's $135 per quarter, and they are mandatory. So back whenever we saw SDN and we wanted to know if it was voluntary or mandatory when we checked that earlier, just a moment ago, that's where you know it's mandatory or voluntary. And it's $135 a quarter for this one. So it would be voluntary if it was. So we're putting 135 in, no dots, no change, just 135 even is how it accepts it, and that's quarterly, okay? This is not going to be a short sale, and you'll have to double check, you know, with your client, see what they receive from their HOA. I know that full use of facilities is provided for this, so that's the one I'm checking. If you do put in any HOA that one is mandatory or voluntary, you have to put in what it includes as well, what they do for them, you know, since they're paying for it. What do you do for us? The preferred title company, I showed y'all, we have that for on our new listing setup form. With our team, we let that be up to the listing agent, what they'd like to do. This is who we've always closed with in Southlake, is Independence Title. I have a great relationship with them, so we always use them. But obviously, whoever your vendor partners are here in Richardson, whoever does great work for y'all, I've heard good things about, I think, Republic, that they do great stuff for y'all. So make sure you're going to the office first. But anyway, put in your preferred title company here. So for y'all, you would just Google it to pull up their phone number. And then for the location, it's up to you what you want to put. Sometimes I just put the city. Sometimes I'll put the street address, but that can get hairy if they move and you didn't realize it, you know? So I like to put the city. Now, say it's Dallas or Fort Worth, and there is 15 of the same, not really, but a ton of the same title company in the same technical city, a big city like Dallas or Fort Worth. Well, Fort Worth and Dallas, that could mean a lot of places in that little area around there. So maybe if it was a Dallas location, you could put the street address after that, you know, 123 Main. So just so that they could, you know, you want to make it as easy as possible on the people that are giving you an offer. You want to make it simple for them. So you put the phone number in there. Appraiser right here. If you had an appraisal done up front to find out the square footage and you had checked on the general, the first page, that we had done our square footage from an appraiser, you would type in their name here. That's everything on this page. We're coming up here on the last, probably about 25% left and we'll be done. Here on the find an agent, if you're a single agent and you're the one inputting this, you have nothing else to do right here. Now, if you're on a team, like myself, our team lead is always Chip. At the top of all these, it's always Chip. He's the team lead. He's always agent number 1, okay? And then we are agent number 2. So we always go to find an agent because we're on a team and we type in, you know, the first and last name and add them to it, okay? So if I was gonna add Chip to this one, search that, bam, that's the right Chip. I click fill, pulls in his info right here, his phone number, email, license number, all that fun stuff. You do need to input your office supervisor. For y'all, it would be either Sarah or Bill. I'm not sure which, so double check. If you don't know, maybe with Christy or someone in MCA about which one it should be on that, then you'll put in their license number. If you don't know how to find a license number, let me show you how to do that real quick and bookmark that page, okay? This is something very good to know, trek.texas.gov. The public has access to this. You can sign in to see your agent stuff. This is what you did when you signed on as an agent. If you remember all the fun stuff with Trek on their website. To find someone's license, and this is public information, like I said, anybody can find this to file complaints or just, you know, find out continuing education if they're active, if they're not. So we'll go to public and we'll go to license holder search. Well, when I do that, I can type in the name of the person that I'm looking for. So in my old office, his name was Dustin. Okay, we'll do Sarah for y'all, just to make it simpler. So say it was Sarah for y'all. It would be Sarah Waters. Okay, Sarah's not pulling up. Great. William Webb. So see, we've got Bill right. Oh, see, we got a lot of different webs in here. So we'd want to make sure we found the right one. I'll just make it easy and do my old TL in my old office though to show y'all what it looks like. So anyway, this is the only Dustin right in here. So it just pulled up his deal right off the bat. You can see his license number right here. So this is what you need. you're going to add a 0 in front of the license number every single time, okay, whenever you're writing out your license number at any time. And then if you wanted to save this, you can notice I haven't unbookmarked it because I'm not with that office anymore. I can remove that. But click that little star, or if you're on a different browser, I recommend you use Chrome always. But I would just recommend bookmarking that. I've got a little real estate folder right here personally. And I've got all my fun little things in here that keep me nice and organized, because if I don't help myself, I'm not going to be doing good later. You know, if I'm in a crunch, I need to find something. I need to make it easy on myself now to help myself later. So that's how you find a license number, for those of y'all that did not know that. So you'll put in, you know, Sarah or Bill, their license number, and I would just put the office phone number right here. Variable fee, no. The seller type, these are individuals. It's not a builder or relo or lender. The BAC on this is 3%, and I always recommend you have a 3% BAC, okay? Your seller and your listing is going to suffer more than likely if it's lower, because buyers are not going to be happy about showing that house. Sub-agency commission, I know for this one it is 0%, and the reason I know this is I'll show you on the listing agreement real quick where I found that. It was just a few pages above this one where we did the financing. So if we scroll up one page, so on the form, it's page 5 of the listing agreement. You can see right in here, this is for MLS participants and non-MLS participants. So you can see right here, it's 3% if the broker represents the buyer, and if for MLS or non-MLS. If you see nothing in here, you would have written this up if it's a single agent. We just don't want to pay sub-agents. We want to deal with just brokers. So I leave that always at 0%. I have for every listing we've done. Owner name, I always just put of record. Just for the sake of protecting people's privacy and just a little bit of an easier way. Tax records are public information, y'all. Like, you can find it easily, even if you can find out anything on the internet. But it's just up to the client. I've had more sensitive clients that do not want their name out there at all. And they're like, nope, I'm like, I'm selling this under an LLC. Nope, don't do it. Put over, you know, that happens. Other times they're like, I don't care. I just always put of record personally, just because that's just how I prefer to do it. Occupancy, this is owner occupancy. If it was a tenant, you know, it was for lease and it's going for sale, that would be tenant. Or if it's vacant and there's nothing in there, or nobody in there rather. Call for appointment, that's always showing time, CSS. And also I'm gonna pull up real quick because I'm gonna need to copy and paste. When I learned from our previous admin, this would have been probably 5+ years ago, 5.5, almost 6 years ago in August, when I learned, do not want to do that. Just want to open this up real quick. And real estate MLS info. I want to show you all this little Word document I made. Feel free to email me if you would like this. This is basically just as I was learning from this person, how to do all the things that we've done today, okay? For the most part, we were using Dropbox at the time instead of Google Drive. See things like normally composition for the roof, usually slab. Look on the SD for utility. All these different things. These are general monikers for me. These are not, it's always going to be ceiling fans. It's not always going to be this. Some of these things like, yes, you're always going to get it on closing and funding. So this is how I learned. So for those of you that maybe are training an admin or just wanting to learn the MLS period and just all this type of stuff, feel free to ask me. I do not mind sharing this at all. You're going to have to edit it yourself to what you need, but this is just the stuff. And then this is our little safety net that I mentioned as well for y'all. So whenever you put in schools and you're not for sure, this is right when I got in the business, like probably my 3rd sales meeting ever. One of the title companies that we work with came in and talked to us about this at our sales meeting, and they said, honestly, just put this phrase in there. It doesn't cover you completely, but it helps. And so the phrase here is all information provided is deemed reliable, but it's not guaranteed and should be independently verified. That's what you would want to put in for all of your listings. Now, if you're on a team and you've got co-listing agents, this part would apply. Contact co-listing agent, agent name, for questions and offers regarding this property. We put that in there and people still don't do it. They always call the team lead every time. And he's like, dude, he's literally a team leader over here in Coppell. Like he can't do it. So we put that in there. People don't always read it. And then this part right here, see instructions for submitting an offer document and supplements. Because we have a team, Our admin transaction coordinator, director of ops, she wrote up specifically based for each agent. So for Clark Mundy, for Laney, for Rachel, for all the people on our team, we've got our own form. And basically we uploaded in the supplements along with the survey, the T47 and the seller's disclosure notice. We put that in there in the MLS so that when a buyer's agent, puts in an offer, assuming they take the time to look through everything and they're not rushing and they don't do 2 deals a year and don't remember how to do it. We want them to look at that and see how our team operates. Email these people for these things. It's kind of setting expectations, just like you would in an appointment with a client. It's doing that, but for the relationship between agent and agent on the buy and sell side. Now for this, I'm going to copy that phone number for, it was CSS, now it's showing time. So I'm going to put that appointment phone number in there. And then I'm also going to type right in here, I'm going to put showing time CSS for where the showing instructions are. I personally, and I recommend this for y'all, do not put showing instructions, do not put codes, do not put anything on the MLS that would allow access into the home by someone that is not a realtor. Meaning they don't have the super app on their phone, or they didn't schedule through CSS showing time at the showing time to get the code. Okay. If you put in, if there's a combination on, and so here, I'll show you real quick. So blue BTLE, Bluetooth is the BT. So this is the blue iBox that goes on listings. And so this is what we would select for this one. This is the Bluetooth. But for a lot of like leases and things like that, there's combo locks. Please, if you're ever doing a listing, don't do a combo lock for everything in heaven. Protect your seller by the $70 Bluetooth blue box, please, from your CCAR or Metrotex. But if it was a combo here, and then you put in the code right here for the combination, if you did that, I, as an agent, and guess what? It's quite simple to be a realtor. There's a lot of us in the US. I want to believe every single one of us is a good, decent, wonderful human being. Not always the case, though. I tend to believe the worst in people until they prove me otherwise, being that kind of cynical realist for the most part. Well, I would expect if I give someone an opportunity to do something that they shouldn't, someone is going to take that opportunity. That's what you're doing when you're putting in access to the property here. And so if you put in the code right there, I, as a shady realtor, could take a picture of this when I find it on the MLS. If I get an email that it comes up in a search I'm on automatically for myself, I could text a picture of that, text it to my buddy, and if it's vacant, he could go squat there. If it's not vacant, he could go break in and steal things, harm somebody. There's a lot of different things that could happen. So I highly recommend, don't even put any showing instructions in there. That's just my personal advice. Do it on showing time whenever you're doing that, because that someone has to be an agent to be scheduling through showing time. Okay, that's my soapbox for the day on that. So this house was a blue BTLE, and the key box number is always, I would just put 00. It requires you to put in a number. It doesn't really matter that much what the number is, but I just put 00. Remarks right here. I always click yes for all 4 of these. I want comments. I want this to display on the internet. I want the address to display. I want all these things on all these different syndicated apps. And this is not just the only places this is going to go. This is going to syndicate to like 200 to 300, I think, different websites that are, there's like realtor.com and Zillow and Trulia. And then from there, there's all the smaller, lesser known. It goes to all those different websites. Your public driving directions, I just pull up Google Maps every time. Type in the property address. Pull it up. Oh, it didn't pull in the actual specific address. Just typed in. There we go. So see, and then I'll just scroll in. Okay, we're good to go. And then I'll just zoom it out from the biggest major highway or freeway. So for this one, if you wanted to get real technical, it runs parallel to I-35 right here. Okay. So I would probably say from I-35 W north, take a right on 377. If I could zoom in and it would let me. Or on 114, I'm sorry, take a right on 114. You could take a left on 377 and come in this way. Or I just know, because I've been over there, you could just take this left off of Briarwick Parkway. Basically, you're just going to follow it and back it out. So Norfolk goes here to Al Slaughter, goes down here to Bristol, goes here to Briarwick Parkway, and so on and so on. So you just want to back it up. Now, you can just be lazy and put GPS. You can do that. Yeah, exactly. Kyle's giving a thumbs down. I agree. Don't be lame and and lazy. You assume everyone's using a GPS. Some people may not, I don't know. But anyway, I just take the time to do that every time, personally. The property description, that's something that you're gonna write up for our team. We have the listing agent write it up. That is not something as an admin I ever did or that we require our admins to do because it's not our listing. We were not in there measuring, we were not there. So if you have a team structure, recommend having the agent who's listing the property write that description. Exclusions, this was back on the listing agreement, okay? So back at the top of the listing agreement, very bottom of this page, D, 2D, there are no exclusions. Exclusions would be like curtains, permanently installed things. On this, you can see right here on the accessories. You can read this for your specific, info. If you have mounted a TV, a flat screen TV, typically they'll ask you to leave the mount and just take the TV. It's like a $25, $50 thing. Yes, it's annoying, but yeah, they don't want to have you rip it out of the wall, caulk it over, paint it over, then redo it again in a week. It's dumb. Just add a $50 credit to 12A1B if it's that big of a deal to you for closing costs, and it's covered. So exclusions are right here. So you would put that in if necessary. And private remarks, like I said on our little Word doc right here, I am going to be copying. So just for y'all, I'm not going to include the whole thing. I'll include what you would write. And it would be, all information is deemed reliable, but is not guaranteed and should be independently verified. All information provided is deemed reliable, but is not guaranteed and should be independently verified. That will save your butt. I haven't had it happen yet, but I can't wait till it does, or it never does. And that'd be perfect that it never came up. But that is the meat and potatoes right here of all of the input side of things. Now I'm gonna go ahead and hit submit because we're still on incoming. You can always double check by going back to status. By the way, if you're not doing a condo or farm and ranch, don't click on this one. You don't need it, okay? Don't click condo, farm and ranch if it's not either of those. So you go back to status, make sure we're still on incoming. Perfect, that's highlighted, great. And again, like I said, so you can see it right here as well. Once an incoming listing has been filled out and the status is changed to active, it is available for everybody. It can only be submitted if it passes all input rules. So if you've filled out every form and every box and everything in here, it'll let you click active. But what I was mentioning for y'all, if you're doing tests, if you're playing with this, you're learning, set it as incoming and then never change it. Just if you're done with it, you can literally delete an incoming listing, and I'll show you how to do that. But please do not click coming soon or active and then submit it if it's not a client you're working with, because it is a whole nightmare. And I'm sure it's happened before to agents that they've accidentally listed something online, and I'm sure it's happened, and that's just a hairy situation you don't want to deal with. So anyway, it's incoming. I'm happy with that. I'll click submit. I can go back to the home screen. Now, because I already did that refresh thing, it's already there. It's not, you don't have to do that again. It's just that one time to refresh your page, go back in, make sure it's still incoming. Now for this one, we'll click that checkbox. We can click edit. First, I'm going to do the manage photos though. And now for this one, let me double check real quick. Okay, so this one, you'll see if I go down here, 058-2058, that's the last image right here. Right here. Well, if I go to the top, I already knew this, but so there's 58 photos in here. The MLS only allows a maximum of 36, okay? Now, this is opinionated, this next thing. Who chooses the photos? I personally there's a PDF that we receive with all our photos from the photography company Showcase that we use, and they send a PDF along with the downloadable links for low quality, high res, for print, all that type of stuff. I always send that PDF to the client if it's more than 36. Now, if there's a couple crappy pictures you could take out, okay. But if you're dealing in the 500 plus range and there's more than 36 pictures, which there most likely will be, this is 525 and there's 58 of them. There's a lot to photograph as the homes get bigger. This is 4,700 square feet in this home. You want to make sure that you're letting the seller tell the story of their home too. You want to invite them into the process with you. Now, if they're like, dude, do your job, I don't want to hear about it. Okay, then that's your answer and you go do it. That's fine. But I found that a lot of clients that I've worked with, whether they're people I just met and they became a client or they're friends or family or someone I knew in the past, it's exciting to people to have a little bit of input. And that's why I always send the printed MLS form to them so that they can let me know if they don't like the description. Usually I'm going to have that conversation up front. I had a nightmare deal that we went on the market and then terminated literally 3 days later, our relationship, and they didn't even sell. It was in the 800 range over about 2 miles from Love Field over there, kind of by the Katy Trail Ice House in that area, where there's like homes from the 40s and then a 1.3 million next to it, kind of that area. And there were other things that this client was bent out of shape about, but she chose to take it all out on the property description and berated me basically as an agent, saying, I don't know the area. How dare I say these things? I said, okay, well, what would you like me to edit? And she never gave me answers. It was just, no matter what I edited, there was a problem. Well, she had her own deals going on that wasn't me. I was just receiving it. Knowing that now, that's fine. Hindsight is 20/20, and that's okay. But just for your own knowledge, I like to provide that to people. So for the managed photos, you just click on that and browse and then add them in. You can also add in photo descriptions if you like for each individual photo or whichever ones you like. I'm not going to do that for the sake of time because we're a little bit past 11 o'clock here. I'll click edit one more time. Now, if we had added the photos in, that would pop up right there. If you need to delete this listing, this is what I want to show y'all real quick. Right here, I clicked the checkbox, I clicked edit. We would click residential to go back in and keep playing with it and changing things. If you are done and you've played with it enough, you feel comfortable and you're ready to get rid of this, click delete incoming listing, okay? It'll go away. It never went on the market. It's just visible to you. Like it's your secret with the MLS. It's y'all's little secret, okay? It can be deleted and gone away and nobody knows unless you tell someone else, okay? Open houses, this is where you put that in. Price change, that's where you put that. Virtual tours and URLs, honestly, is a nightmare on the MLS because it is so particular about which websites you can use. You can't use Animoto, you can't use Adobe Spark, you can't use, so I've seen agents make a video, download it, upload it to Google Drive, make that little drive link shareable for that video, and then put it in. You could do that. It's a lot of work extra. But especially right now with virtual tours and everything, I recommend doing it if that's something important to your client and listening to them. And then also right here, I won't go through it, but manage documents via transaction desk. This is where you upload your survey, your T47 if you have it, your seller's disclosure notice, and for our team, the instructions for submitting an offer. And it's just very simple. You just click right there and you upload them. So I'll just click right there to show y'all. And then, okay, let me go back into our drive. You get the little back end knowledge, get to see what our Google Drive looks like, all the secrets. Oh, nope, wrong thing. See, so I just uploaded a notes thing. That was incorrect. So if you upload the wrong thing, you can click the 3 dots, click delete, click yes. That plus sign again. Go in the Mundy group. We'll sort this by name. Clients, active, sellers. And then, so you would select here your SDN, your survey, your T47. And let's see, we may not have the instructions for submitting an offer because Chip is we may not have created one because he's the team lead here. But you can just click open, bam, pops them all in there. You don't need to click save on this page. Once you see the green bar, go fully through, bam, they're all uploaded, they're in, there's nothing else you need to do. You could just hit the X and you know they're in there. If you're worried, you want to double check, click it again. Lovely, all 3 are in there, we're good to go. So that's how you do those things in there. Now I'm going to pull up the Excel document that I told you about that we use from the admin side of things for our, oh, way zoomed out, sorry about that. This is what we use on our team for all new listings. We have this as a template, and then we just copy paste the template into each client folder that you saw. So when we're here, go back into the Mundy group real quick to show y'all. So we've got client folders for sellers and buyers. Buyers are back there. And when we click in, we've got all of that. You can see right here, new listing checklist. And that's, I always update the revision date as well, just so we know. But it's just the basic info. It's the precursor stuff, saving this file into Google Drive, ordering the yard sign, ordering American Home Shield, who we use for home warranty protection, placing the submitting instructions for an offer, putting that in there. So these are just, you put date and name on our team, or you put NA if it's not applicable. And this is what keeps me in line, or our admin in line, as we're going throughout this. input it in the MLS, add the photos. We use Adobe Spark. Spark.adobe.com is the website if you want to look into that. It's free. That's how we use the photos, or we shoot moving video and edit it together. I do that sometimes. And you can upload that video in there. Add that video to the listing or download it, upload it to Drive, do that link, that whole deal. Add the supplements, this SDN Survey T47, make it active, set up showing time, print off the PDF, send a congrats email to the sellers. We have a generic one in here that says, congrats, your listing is now active. I've attached a final copy. Please let me know if there are any revisions that need to be made to the home. And then we include the link to the virtual tour as well. So we do that for all of our clients. Even if it's just the pictures with text and music, it's not technically a virtual tour based on all the pandemic stuff. You know, that does not qualify as a virtual tour anymore, but a video walkthrough nonetheless of the home. And then we also post on Facebook and Instagram, okay? I know we're a little over on time, but let me show showing time to y'all real fast. Now, when you're ready to say everything's good to go, you know, you're working with a client, you're ready to send this PDF in an email to your client to get their approval, you could just check the box, click print, go to agent full is the copy you'd want to send to them because that shows them everything. Agent single line is just very, very basic minimal info like the property address. And then for me personally also, when I'm out on showings with tenants or buyers, I also print off the customer full view for them for each listing, and I give one to each person so that they can have something tangible to look at while we're walking throughout the house. The reason I do the customer full, it doesn't include all the brokerage info for the listing agent. And for me, I just don't want other phone numbers of other offices on things I'm giving to my clients. Not that I'm concerned about it, but why do it if it's not necessary? So you would just print as agent full and then click print right there for that. And then for showing time real quick, it's just showingtime.com. We could pop on in here at the top to log in, username and password, enter that. I do not want to fix that right now. So now we'd come in here, and what I want to be clear about, I always recommend making the listing active first. Like refresh that page, make sure on the MLS you make it active, and then I do showing time immediately after, like within 5 minutes, okay? Realistically, no one's gonna beat you probably. But the reason I do that, I started doing that because CSS would auto pull info for me if it was already active on the MLS. If I did CSS before it was active, I'd have to manually input a lot of different things about the subdivision and stuff. So to make it faster, that's what I did. I think whichever one is up to you, that's just why I did it. So let's say we were going to need to add in a listing. We would click on listings and enter new listing. And we put in our address as 1209 Norfolk. That's the street. And it's in Briarwick. So see, because this wasn't active, it's asking me for a lot of these things right here. It is not a non-MLS listing, it is in it. All of that, good to go. See, so it's asking for the list price. So I'm not sure, I can't remember if you entered in this after making it active, if it would put that in there or not, if it would pull all this info for you or not, I can't remember. But we'll put it in just for the sake of it. So there's all that info. The listing ID, if you already did make it active, you would copy that in there. You would also need the area, which is on the MLS general first page as well. And then we would continue from here. Let's see. Oh, please provide. Oh, see right here. So it wants the MLS listing ID. We don't have that. I mean, well, we do actually. It generates one when you make one incoming, but we're going to delete this before we're done. Okay. So here's our listing and MLS status. Got a bunch of different options in here. If it was coming soon, you could do that, or if it was just active, you could do that as well. Now, I'm not going to keep going through this because showing time will really think that I'm doing this for a listing. Okay, so I'm going to hold off on going much further, but this is very simple and easy to walk through. Literally every agent in Texas is using this other than one certain other brokerage over in Euless that I know really prefers to use their own showing management service. But anyway, everyone uses this. So if you're not used to it, just play in it, get used to it. Download the mobile app for when you're doing your own showings with tenants or buyers. It's very easy to do on the phone. You can also call or go on the web to set up appointments for buyers, leases, things like that. Okay, y'all. that is the meat and potatoes of today. I know I'm at an hour 15 already. What questions do we have, if any? Kevin, Kyle, feel free to let me know. Anything you want me to dive back in on? Kyle, you're good. Kevin, do you want to chat or unmute yourself? Just let me know if you're good or not. Just want to make sure I've answered everything for y'all before we finish up today. And but yeah, if y'all have any questions, as always, reach out to me. Shoot me an email, technology@centralkw.com. If I can help you in any way. I'll be posting this on YouTube. Today's June 11th, so probably later today I'll have this up. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it. So y'all just feel free, after watching this video on YouTube, if you're still concerned, still confused about anything, just reach out to me. Let me know. I'm here to help, okay? Kyle, great seeing you. Kevin, thanks for jumping on. Thought you were Misty, but it is Kevin. Good to have you on too. Hope you'll have a great day. This is, as of now, this is the last of these classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I know, so boo, but it sounds like I'll be coming in full time to be with y'all here soon. So I'll get to see you in person at some point soon, Kyle and Kevin. I look forward to it. So anyway, y'all have a great rest of your day, great weekend, stay safe, stay healthy, have some fun in the sun, and I will see y'all soon. Have a good one.
Thanks, Clark.